You guys give it up for all of our teen groups, nice and loud.
All day. All right. Also, we should acknowledge all of our teachers, studio owners, and choreographers who put the kids on stage and work so hard to get them up here. Just imagine all day long, I know that the teachers and studio owners and choreographers watch their kids and it's like they're dancing every move. I know you guys are all exhausted, but thank you so much for the great work. Thank you, thank you. Give it up for our teachers,
Clap
studio
for your
owners, and
teachers,
choreographers.
kids. Come on now.
So we'll start with our adjudicated awards, move on to our high point in both performance division and our other high point division, as well as announcing our numbers that are going to recompete in our closing show in our teen division. So here we go, starting with number 1758 from Canadian dance company Elastic Heart, receives a judge's pick. 1759 from Larkin Dance Studio, Hold Me Down, receives a high gold. 1760 from Danceology, Taken, receives a high gold. 1761 from Dance Connection 2, Discarded, receives a gold. 1762 from Center Stage, Casta Diva, receives a high gold. 1763 from Bunker Dance Center, This Old Dark Machine, receives a high gold. 1764 from Michelle Latimer Dance Academy, A Clean Slate, receives a high gold. 1765 from Studio Fusion, Descent, receives a high gold. 1766 from Vlad's Dance Company, Mind Over Matter, receives a high gold. 1767 from Larkin Dance Studio, The Last Word, receives a high gold. 1768 from SGS Dance, The Way You Make Me Feel, receives a gold. 1770 from San Diego Dance Center, Addicted to Love, receives a high gold. 1771 from Canadian Dance Company, A Great Divide, receives a high gold. 1772 from Tucson Dance Academy, The Hanging Tree, receives a gold. 1773 from Dance Industry, Sorrow, receives a judge's pick. 1774 from Next Step Dance, Alternate World, receives a high gold. 1775 from Michelle Latimer Dance Academy, Light Poured Out of Our Bones, receives a high gold. 1776 from Dance Connection 2, Can't Make You Love Me, receives a gold. 1778 from Studio Fusion, Hanging On, receives a gold. 1779 from Vlad's Dance Company, All That Jazz, receives a judge's pick. 1780 from Center Stage, Surprise Yourself, receives a judge's pick. 1782 from Danceology, Shaped Like a Gun, receives a high gold. 1783 from Merida Dance Project, Far From Over, receives a high gold. 1784 from Tanya's Dance Company, Be Fierce, receives a gold. 1785 from Dance Connection 2, Etudes, receives a high gold. 1787 from Next Step Dance, I Love You, receives a high gold. 1788 from Vlad's Dance Company, Subconscious, receives a high gold. 1789 from Westside Dance Project, Evade, receives a high gold. 1790 from the Dance Studio of Fresno, Through Darkness Light, receives a judge's pick. 1791 from SGS Dance, Find a Place, receives a gold. 1791 from Michelle Latimer Dance Academy, I Rise, I Fall, receives a high gold. 1793 from Dance Arts Center, Aftermath, high gold. 1794 from Bunker Dance Center, Yesterday, gets a high gold. 1795 from Studio Fusion, Perfection, receives a high gold. 1796 from Tucson Dance Academy, Dare You to Move, receives a high gold. 1797 from Academy of Nevada Ballet Theater, Expensive, receives a gold.
1798 from Center Stage Performing Arts Studio, Family Dinner, receives a high gold. 1799 from Limitless and Master Ballet, Fosse, receives a high gold. 1800 from Marietta Dance Project, Lady Marmalade, receives a high gold. 1801 from the Rock Center for Dance, Lights Out, receives a high gold. 1802 from Dance Industry, Ebb and Flow, receives a high gold. 1804 from the Dance Lab Studios, The List, receives a high gold. 1805 from Hawkins School of Performing Arts, Bones, receives a judge's pick. 1806 from Tucson Dance Academy, Vardo, receives a high gold. 1807 from Dance Arts Center, Diamonds and Spades, receives a high gold. 1808 from Danceology, Body Language, receives a high gold. 1809 from Michelle Latimer Dance Academy, Foreign, receives a judge's pick. 1810 from Center Stage Performing Arts Studio 2, Turn, receives a judge's pick. Number 1811 from Bunker Dance Center, Cheerleader, receives a high gold. 1812 from Studio Fusion, Holding On, receives a high gold. 1813 from Canadian Dance Company, Brit, receives a high gold. 1814 from the Rock Center for Dance, Inside My World is a high gold. 1815 from Larkin Dance Studio, My Squad receives a high gold. 1816 from Next Step Dance, It's Calm After receives a high gold. 1817 from Dance Connection 2, This City receives a high gold. 1818 from SGS Dance, OMG in Japanese receives a gold. Number 1820 from Tanya's Dance Company, Can You Feel It receives a gold. 1821 from West Side Dance Project, Handling receives a judge's pick. 1822 from Tucson Dance Academy, Habitat receives a high gold. 1823 from Canadian Dance Company, The Valdiv receives a high gold. 1824 from Marietta Dance Project, Kiss receives a high gold. Number 1825 was from the Dance Lab Studios, Emergency receives a high gold. 1826 from Larkin Dance Studio, Until the Levee receives a high gold. 1827 from SGS Dance, The Ritz receives a gold. Number 1828 was from Dance Connection 2, Coolin receives a judge's pick. 1829 from Bunker Dance Center, Every Little Thing receives a gold. 1831 from Next Step Dance Performing Arts Center, Plain Gold Ring receives a high gold. 1832 from San Diego Dance Center, Elastic Heart receives a high gold. 1833 from Studio Fusion, Skeletons receives a high gold. 1835 was from Center Stage Performing Arts Studio, Flexin receives a high gold. 1836 from the Rock Center for Dance, Run Boy Run receives a high gold. 1837 from Dance Industry, I Lived receives a high gold. And 1838 from SGS Dance, Emotional Baggage receives a high gold.
1839 from Danceology, New World receives a high gold. 1840 from Michelle Latimer Dance Academy of Beauty and Light receives a high gold. 1841 from Vlad's Dance Company, Concerto number 23 receives a judge's pick. 1842 from Tanya's Dance Company, Heel receives a high gold. 1843 from Westside Dance Project, We the Entourage receives a judge's pick. 1845 from Universidad de Monterrey, Mouths Only Lying, receives a high gold. 1846 from Bunker Dance Center, The Way You Look Tonight receives a judge's pick. 1847 from the Dance Lab Studios, Winter Sound receives a high gold. 1848 from Danceology, The Best Is Yet to Come receives a high gold. 1850 from Tucson Dance Academy, The Rhythm Section receives a high gold. 1851 from Vlad's Dance Company, Bottom of the River receives a high gold. 1852 from SGS Dance, To Where You Are receives a gold. 1853 from Center Stage, Magic receives a judge's pick. 1854 from Michelle Latimer Dance Academy, Medicine receives a high gold. 1855 from Royal Dance Works, This Time receives a judge's pick. 1856 from Limitless at Master Ballet, Purgatory receives a high gold. 1857 from Next Step Dance, Tore My Heart receives a high gold. 1858 from Danceology, Fever receives a high gold. 1859 from Vlad's Dance Company, Vogue receives a high gold. 1860 from Canadian Dance Company, Skylark receives a high gold. 1861 from the Dance Studio of Fresno, Bach Concerto receives a judge's pick. 1862 from Bunker Dance Center, Georgia receives a judge's pick. 1864 from Tanya's Dance Company, Dust Bowl receives a high gold. 1865 from SGS Dance, H2O receives a high gold. 1866 from San Diego Dance Center, Welcome to My Party receives a high gold. 1867 from Larkin Dance Studio, Confident receives a high gold. 1868 from Tucson Dance Academy, There Is an Ocean That Divides receives a high gold. 1869 from Next Step Dance, Fame receives a high gold. 1870 from Center Stage, Burn Up receives a high gold. 1871 from the Dance Lab Studios, Razzle Dazzle receives a high gold. 1872 from Westside Dance Project, Ma Defani receives a judge's pick. 1873 from Dance Industry, Tonight at 8 receives a judge's pick. 1874 from Creative Arts Academy, En Regard du Changement receives a high gold. 875 from Dance Arts Center, On to the Next One receives a high gold. 1876 from San Diego Dance Center, I'm in Love receives a high gold. 1877 from Larkin Dance Studio, No Flex receives a high gold. 1878 from Tanya's Dance Company, We Bad receives a gold.
1879 from SGS Dance, Serenade receives a gold. 1880 from Studio Fusion, Twilight receives a high gold. 1881 from Vlad's Dance Company, Apart, receives a judge's pick. 1882 from Dance Arts Center, Love, receives a gold. 1883 from San Diego Dance Center, Tightrope, receives a high gold. 1885 from Academy of Nevada Ballet Theater, Torn in Two, receives a gold. 1886 from Dance Industry Performing Arts Center, Settle Down, receives a high gold. 1887 from the Dance Studio Fresno, Let Go, receives a judge's pick. 1888 from West Side Dance Project, From Earth to Moon, receives a judge's pick. 1889 from Studio Fusion, Anyways, receives a high gold. 1890 from the Dance Lab Studios, Murda Business, receives a high gold. 1891 from Tanya's Dance Company, Gray, receives a high gold. 1892 from Hawkins School of Performing Arts, Juliet, receives a high gold. Number 1893 from Bunker Dance Center, We Go Together, receives a gold. 1894 from Vlad's Dance Company, Promised Land, receives a judge's pick. 1895 from San Diego Dance Center, Lean On, receives a gold. 1896 from Dance Arts Center, Tethered, receives a high gold. 1897 from Studio Fusion, Wicked Game, receives a high gold. 1898 from SGS Dance, Welcome to Wonderland, receives a gold. 1899 from Limitless and Master Ballet, Taken, receives a high gold. 1900 from the Rock Center for Dance, Urshia, receives a high gold. 1901 from Tucson Dance Academy, V Final Presto, receives a high gold. 1902 from Danceology, Through Fall and Flicker, receives a judge's pick. 1903 from Center Stage, Dangerous, receives a judge's pick. 1904 from Next Step Dance, Y, receives a high gold. 1905 from Canadian Dance Company, Cali 47 is a high gold. 1906A from San Diego Dance Center, Falling is a high gold. 1907 from Studio Fusion, Water Me, receives a high gold. 1908 from Michelle Latimer Dance Academy, How Will I Know, receives a judge's pick. 1909 from Dance Connection, 2 for a Moment, receives a judge's pick. 1910 from Bunker Dance Center, In 30 Seconds, receives a judge's pick. 1910A from Larkin Dance Studio, Forgiven, receives a high gold. 1911 from Danceology, Always Gets You in the End, is a high gold. 1912 from Center Stage, Flight, is a judge's pick. 1913 from Next Step Dance, Get on the Floor, receives a high gold. 1914 from Michelle Latimer, My Own, receives a high gold. 1915 from Dance Connection 2, Mercy, receives a gold.
1916 from Westside Dance Project, Monger, receives a judge's pick. 1918 from Bunker Dance Center, Goin' Churchin', receives a gold. 1919 from Canadian Dance Company, Ghost, receives a judge's pick. 1920 from Center Stage, Get Loose, receives a high gold. 1921 from Danceology, Moving Up, receives a judge's pick. 1923 from Vlad's Dance Company, Up, receives a judge's pick. 1924 from Tucson Dance Academy, Vanguardian, receives a high gold. 1924A from San Diego Dance Center, Freak Show, receives a high gold. 1925 from Larkin Dance Studio, A Soldier's Heart, receives a judge's pick. 1926 from Dance Arts Center at Night, receives a high gold. 1927 from the Rock Center for Dance, Which Was, receives a high gold. 1928 from Studio Fusion, Landfill, receives a gold. 1929 from Dance Industry, Dem Girls, receives a judge's pick. 1930 from Bunker Dance Center, Is You Is or Is You Ain't, receives a judge's pick. 1931 from the Dance Studio Fresno, It Had to Be You, receives a judge's pick. 1932 from Next Step Dance, Begin, receives a judge's pick. 1933 from Larkin Dance Studio, Love Story, receives a judge's pick. 1934 from Danceology, Snow, receives a high gold. 1935 from Michelle Latimer Dance Academy, No Surprises, receives a high gold. 1936 from Marietta Dance Project, Wandering, receives a judge's pick. 1937 from Center Stage, Infuse, receives a judge's pick. 1938 from Dance Connection 2, Dangerous, receives a judge's pick. 1939 from San Diego Dance Center, Soulmates, receives a high gold. 1940 from the Dance Lab Studios, No Romeo, receives a high gold. 1941 from SGS Dance, I Need That, high gold. 1942 from Bunker Dance Center, Work It, judge's pick. 1943 Canadian Dance Company, Dancing to Circus, judge's pick. 1944 from Studio Fusion, Falling, receives a gold. 1945 from Larkin Dance Studio, Fosse, judge's pick. 1946 from Westside Dance Project, Pressure, receives a high gold. 1947 from the Rock Center for Dance, Region 1, receives a high gold. 1948 from Danceology, Talk Talk receives a high gold. 1950 from Tucson Dance Academy, Clean receives a high gold. 1951 from Marietta Dance Project, Figure 8 receives a judge's pick. 1952 from Canadian Dance Company, Symphonic Variations, judge's pick. 1953 from Next Step Dance, Chasing Dreams, judge's pick. 1954 from Center Stage, Symphony, high gold.
1955 from Michelle Latimer Dance Academy, The Moment You Realize receives a judge's pick. 1956 from Larkin Dance Studio, Shapes, a judge's pick. 1957 from Dance Industry, Leave My Head Alone, a judge's pick. 1958 from Bunker Dance Center, Configured Echoes receives a high gold. 1959 from Studio Fusion, Laura receives a high gold. 1960 from Danceology, Under the Bridge receives a judge's pick. 1961 from the Rock Center for Dance, School of Rock, judge's pick. 1962 from Canadian Dance Company, Ring Them Bells receives a judge's pick. 1963 from SGS Dance, Jungle Vibes receives a gold. 1964 from San Diego Dance Center, Drive receives a high gold. 1965 from Dance Connection 2, Goodbye receives a judge's pick. 1967 from Larkin Dance Studio, Icons receives a judge's pick. 1969 from Next Step Dance, Imperfect Harmony receives a judge's pick. 1971 from Danceology, Here We Go receives a high gold. 1972 from Bunker Dance Center, Frankie Learns to Dance, a judge's pick. 1973 from Marietta Dance Project, You There receives a judge's pick. 1974 from Canadian Dance Company, Green Gardens receives a high gold. 1975 from Michelle Latimer Dance Academy, Too Dry to Cry receives a high gold. 1976 from Tucson Dance Academy, La Llorona receives a high gold. 1977 from Larkin Dance Studio, Body Language receives a high gold. 1978 from SGS Dance Kingdom receives a gold. 1979 from Dance Art Center, Wild is a high gold. 1980 from the Rock Center for Dance, Summer 3 is a high gold. 1981 from the Dance Studio of Fresno, Rules for Lovers is a judge's pick. 1982 from Danceology, Hollywood is a high gold. 1983 from Kim Massey Dance Productions, For My Help receives a judge's pick. 1984 from Canadian Dance Company, West Side is a judge's pick. 1985 from Studio Fusion, Worry receives a high gold. 1986 from Larkin Dance Studio, Chess receives a high gold. 1987 from Dance Connection 2, A Night at the Opera receives a judge's pick.
All right, that does it for our adjudicated awards. Let's move on to our High Point Awards by age. And moving on to our Performance Division Award. Group first, third place gets a $100 cash award, second gets $200, and first place gets $300 in the age division High Point. So let's start with teen groups, starting with fifth place High Point. Fifth place High Point teen group. There are 4 routines in fifth place. Give it up for our first routine in fifth. That goes to Love Story from Larkin Dance Studio. Fifth place High Point teen group, also going to Surprise Yourself from Center Stage. Fifth place High Point teen group, also going to Sorrow from Dance Industry. And rounding out fifth place High Point teen group, give it up for Through Darkness Light from the Dance Studio of Fresno. Fourth place High Point teen group goes to We the Entourage from West Side Dance Project. That takes us to our top 3 teen groups. Third place High Point, $100 going to This Time from Royal Dance Works. We have a 2-way tie for second place High Point, and the first award in second goes to Handling from West Side Dance Project. Second place High Point teen group also going to Elastic Heart from Canadian Dance Company. And that takes us to first place overall teen group, $300 going to 2 routines. Our first routine in first place goes to Movin' Up from Danceology. Also first place High Point teen group, $300 going to Maud Defani from West Side Dance Project. Those are your High Point teen groups. Let's move on to teen lines, a 2-way tie for fifth place High Point teen line. The first routine in fifth place goes to Flight from Center Stage. Also in fifth place, that goes to It Had to Be You from the Dance Studio of Fresno. Fourth place High Point, we have 2 routines in the teen line division. The first routine in fourth goes to Figure 8 from Marietta Dance Project. Also in fourth place, high point teen line, that goes to Rules for Lovers from the Dance Studio of Fresno. Third place, high point, we have 3 routines. The first routine in third place, $100 going to Two Turnt from Center Stage. Third place, high point, also going to Wandering from Marietta Dance Project. Third place, high point teen line, also going to For a Moment from Dance Connection 2. Second place, high point teen line, and $200. Give it up, everybody, for Let Go from the Dance Studio of Fresno. High point teen line, first place, and $300 goes to Monger from West Side Dance Project. Those are your high point teen lines. Moving on to teen extended line, starting in fifth place, high point. We have a two-way tie for fifth place, high point. Fifth place, high point. The first routine is Magic from Center Stage. Also in fifth place, high point teen extended line, give it up for Dangerous from Center Stage. Fourth place, high point teen extended line, goes to Is You Is or Is You Ain't from Bunker Dance. Third place, high point, we have a two-way tie in the first routine in third place, and $100 goes to Goodbye from Dance Connection 2. Tied for third, also $100 going to The Moment You Realize from Michelle Latimer Dance Academy. Second place, high point teen extended line. Everybody, this is $200. That goes to Dangerous from Dance Connection 2. And the highest scoring teen extended line in first place, $300 going to Up from Vlad's Dance Company. Those are your high point teen extended lines. We're moving into teen production. Here we go. Three-way tie for fifth place, high point. The first routine in fifth place goes to How Will I Know from Michelle Latimer Dance Academy. Fifth place, high point production, also going to A Night at the Opera from Dance Connection 2. Rounding out fifth place, high point teen production, that goes to Dem Girls from Dance Industry. We have 3 routines in fourth place, high point. The first routine in fourth goes to Circus from Canadian Dance Company. Fourth place also going to Begin from Next Step Dance. Fourth place also going to Chasing Dreams from Next Step Dance. And that takes us to our top 3. We have 2 routines in third place, high point, $100 going to both routines. The first routine in third place goes to Ring Them Bells from Canadian Dance Company. Also third place, high point, give it up for Icons from Larkin Dance. Second place, high point, we have 2 routines, both routines getting $200. Second place, high point, goes to Fosse from Larkin Dance Studio. Second place, high point teen production also goes to Infuse from Center Stage. Which means your highest scoring teen production in first place, $300 going to Leave My Head Alone from Dance Industry.
All right, moving on to high score by performance division, starting with ballet. We have a tie for fifth place. The fifth highest scoring teen ballet routine is Of Beauty and Light from Michelle Latimer Dance Academy. Also fifth high score is It's Calm After from Next Step Dance. Fourth high score teen ballet routine is Snow from Danceology. There's a two-way tie for the third highest scoring teen ballet. Third high score, $100 voucher goes to Ebb and Flow from Dance Industry. Also third high score ballet goes to Summer 3 from the Rock Center for Dance. We have another tie for the second highest scoring teen ballet, 2 routines. Second highest score, $200 voucher goes to Region 1 from the Rock Center for Dance. Also the second highest ballet routine is Configured Echoes from Bunker Dance Center. 3 routines, it's an unbreakable tie, the same exact score, putting them at the highest out of all of these teen ballet routines, each receiving a $300 voucher. First up, Love Story from Larkin Dance Studio. Also our highest teen ballet, Bach Concerto from the Dance Studio of Fresno. And joining them is Symphonic Variations from Canadian Dance Company. Moving into teen contemporary, fifth high score goes to In 30 Seconds from Bunker Dance Center. Fourth high score, Rules for Lovers from the Dance Studio of Fresno. Also the fourth highest scoring teen contemporary routine, Figure 8 from Marietta Dance Project. We have a handful of ties for the third highest scoring contemporary routine, very close scores. All of these tie the same exact score, putting you guys at the third highest out of all teen contemporary groups. First up is For a Moment from Dance Connection 2. Joining them, Elastic Heart from Canadian Dance Company. Also the third highest score goes to Handling from West Side Dance Project. Third highest score contemporary, Wandering from Marietta Dance Project. Also with the same exact score, putting you at the third highest score contemporary dance, is Magic from Center Stage Performing Arts Studio. Second highest score teen contemporary, receiving a $200 voucher, is The Moment You Realize from Michelle Latimer Dance Academy. Joining them for the second highest contemporary score is Madafani from West Side Dance Project. And our absolute highest scoring teen contemporary dance, receiving a $300 voucher, is Leave My Head Alone from Dance Industry Performing Arts Center. Moving on to teen hip hop. Top 5, fifth highest score is Dem Girls from Dance Industry Performing Arts Center. The fourth highest scoring hip hop routine is Coolin' from Dance Connection 2. Third highest score teen hip hop and a $100 voucher goes to Work It from Bunker Dance Center. Second high score teen hip hop and a $200 voucher goes to Icons from Larkin Dance Studio, which means our absolute highest scoring teen hip hop routine, receiving a $300 voucher, is To Turn from Center Stage Performing Arts Studio. Teen jazz, fifth high score, Begin from Next Step Dance Performing Arts Center, tying with Circus from Canadian Dance Company. Fourth highest score teen jazz goes to Flight from Center Stage Performing Arts Studio. Third highest score teen jazz and a $100 voucher goes to Is You Is or Is You Ain't from Bunker Dance Center. Our second highest scoring teen jazz, 2 routine, second high score, Let Go from the Dance Studio of Fresno. Joining them with a $200 voucher for the second highest scoring teen jazz routine is Goodbye from Dance Connection 2. Which means that our absolute highest score out of all of our teen jazz routines, receiving a $300 voucher, is Infuse from Center Stage Performing Arts Studio. Moving on to teen lyrical, fifth high score, Why from Next Step Dance Performing Arts Center. Fifth high score, I Rise, I Fall from Michelle Latimer Dance Academy. Fourth high score teen lyrical, Laura from Studio Fusion. Third high score teen lyrical and a $100 voucher, No Surprises from Michelle Latimer Dance Academy. Two-way tie for the second highest scoring teen lyrical. First up is Georgia from Bunker Dance Center. Joining them is A Soldier's Heart from Larkin Dance Studio. Our absolute highest scoring teen lyrical routine, receiving a $300 voucher, is You There from Marietta Dance Project. Teen musical theater. Fifth place goes to Frankie Learns to Dance from Bunker Dance Center. Fourth high score teen musical theater goes to Tonight at 8 from Dance Industry Performing Arts Center. Third high score teen musical theater and a $100 voucher goes to Ring Them Bells from Canadian Dance Company. Second high score teen musical theater, $200 voucher, Promised Land from Vlad's Dance Company. Highest scoring teen musical theater, $300 voucher goes to Fosse from Larkin Dance Studio. Teen specialty, fifth high score, concerto number 23 from Vlad's Dance Company. Fifth high score, this time from Royal Dance Works. Fourth high score, teen specialty, Dangerous from Center Stage Performing Arts Studio. Third high score, teen specialty, and a $100 voucher goes to Monger from West Side Dance Project. Second highest scoring teen specialty, $200 voucher, Dangerous from Dance Connection 2. Absolute highest scoring teen specialty routine and a $300 voucher is Up from Vlad's Dance Company. Finishing off with tap, fifth high score teen tap routine, Plain Gold Ring from Next Step Dance Performing Arts Center. Tying with Soulmates from San Diego Dance Center. Fourth high score, The Way You Look Tonight from Bunker Dance Center. We have a two-way tie for the third highest scoring teen tap routine, receiving a $100 voucher, Chasing Dreams from Next Step Dance Performing Arts Center. Tying with Under the Bridge from Danceology. Second high score teen tap routine, $200 voucher goes to It Had to Be You from the Dance Studio of Fresno. Which means our absolute highest scoring teen tap routine, receiving a $300 voucher, is Moving Up from Danceology. Back to you, Ray.
All right, that takes us to the very end. We're going to announce the routines who will be recompeting in our closing show. So due to a tie, we have 6 routines once again. In no particular order, here we go. First routine, recompeting in the closing show, Monger from West Side Dance Project. That is the first routine recompeting. Next routine is Infuse from Center Stage Performing Arts Studio. Also give it up, everybody, for Fosse from Larkin Dance Studio. Number 4 is Up from Vlad's Dance Company. Number 5, give it up for Leave My Head Alone from Dance Industry Performing Arts Center. And your 6th highest scoring teen piece recompeting, Dangerous from Dance Connection 2. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to all of our teens. Wonderful, wonderful work today. Thank you so much. Get some rest. We would love all of our routines recompeting on stage for pictures. Center stage.